Welcome to InfoSec Guardians, your ultimate destination for mastering information security concepts and certifications. In today's session, we're diving into the world of scenario-based questions for CISA Domain 1, which revolves around the information systems auditing process. These questions are not just about testing your knowledge. They're designed to help you develop the critical mindset and methodology needed to excel in both the exam and real-world auditing challenges. The scenarios presented in Domain 1 are crafted to simulate the complexities and nuances that auditors face in their day-to-day roles. By engaging with these scenarios, you'll not only prepare yourself for the exam, but also equip yourself with the practical skills needed to tackle real-life auditing scenarios effectively. Through our detailed analysis and breakdown of these scenarios, you'll learn how to approach audit planning, assess risks, identify control deficiencies, and recommend improvements. These skills are not only crucial for passing the CISA exam, but also for succeeding as a professional auditor in the field. Before we start, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more valuable content on information security. Together, we will secure your digital world. Let's get started with domain overview first. Domain 1, the process of auditing information systems, is fundamental to the CISA exam, covering 18% of the exam. This domain focuses on the principles and practices of auditing information systems, emphasizing the importance of aligning audit activities with organizational objectives. The domain is divided into two parts. Part A focuses on planning, while Part B covers execution. Let us review each part to understand as what they are meant for. Part A, Planning. In this part, auditors are expected to lay the groundwork for a successful audit. This involves understanding the organization's objectives, risks, and controls. It includes defining the scope and objectives of the audit, identifying key stakeholders, and developing an audit plan. Planning also involves assessing the resources needed for the audit, including personnel, technology, and time. In this part, we would need to understand IS audit standards, guidelines, and codes of ethics. Understand IS audit standards, such as ISACA's IS audit and assurance standards, and how they apply to different audit scenarios. Be familiar with relevant guidelines and codes of ethics, such as ISACA's Code of Professional Ethics. Business processes. Understand various business processes and their relevance to information systems auditing. Be able to identify key business processes for auditing and understand their impact on organizational objectives. Types of controls. Know the different types of controls: preventive, detective, corrective, and their functions. Understand how to assess the effectiveness of controls in mitigating risks. Risk-based audit planning. Understand the concept of risk-based audit planning and its importance in prioritizing audit activities. Be able to identify high-risk areas and plan audits accordingly. Types of audits and assessments. Know the different types of audits: compliance audit, operational audit, etc., and their purposes. Understand the various assessment methodologies: self-assessment, third-party assessment, and when to use them. Now, let us move on to Part B, which is execution. Once the audit plan is in place, auditors move on to the execution phase. This involves gathering evidence, testing controls, and evaluating the effectiveness of the organization's information systems. Auditors use various techniques such as sampling, data analytics, and interviews to gather evidence. They also assess the design and implementation of controls to ensure they are operating effectively. For this part, we would need to understand audit project management. Understand the principles of audit project management, including defining audit objectives, scope, and resources. Be able to develop an audit plan and manage audit projects effectively. Sampling methodology. Understand different sampling techniques, statistical sampling, judgmental sampling, and their application in auditing. Be able to select and apply the appropriate sampling technique based on the audit objectives. Audit evidence collection techniques. Know the various techniques for collecting audit evidence: observation, inquiry, inspection, etc. Understand how to collect reliable and sufficient audit evidence to support audit findings. Data analytics. Understand the role of data analytics in enhancing audit procedures. Be familiar with common data analytics tools and techniques used in information systems auditing. Reporting and communication techniques. Understand the importance of effective reporting and communication in audit engagements. Be able to communicate audit findings and recommendations clearly and concisely to stakeholders. Quality assurance and improvement of the audit process. Understand the principles of quality assurance in auditing. Be able to identify areas for improvement in the audit process and implement corrective actions. Overall, Domain 1 emphasizes the importance of thorough planning and meticulous execution in the auditing process. By understanding the objectives and risks of the organization, auditors can effectively evaluate the controls in place and provide valuable insights to improve information systems, security, and compliance. Let's dive into some brain-bending, scenario-based questions for CISA Domain 1. These questions will test your understanding of audit planning and execution in various challenging scenarios. Remember to think like an auditor and consider the best approach to address each situation. Let's get started. You are an IT auditor assigned to conduct an audit for a large financial institution. The audit scope includes reviewing the effectiveness of the institution's IT governance processes, specifically focusing on the audit planning phase. During your initial meeting with the audit team and key stakeholders, you discover the following challenges. Limited resources. The IT audit team is understaffed, and there are limited resources available for conducting a thorough audit. Complex IT environment. The financial institution has a complex IT environment with multiple interconnected systems, making it challenging to identify critical audit areas. Regulatory requirements. The institution must comply with various regulatory requirements, adding complexity to the audit planning process. Conflicting priorities. There are conflicting priorities among stakeholders regarding the audit focus and scope. Given the scenario, which of the following strategies would be most effective for the IT auditor to address the challenges in the audit planning phase? Option A. Utilize data analytics tools to streamline the audit process and identify critical audit areas efficiently. Option B. Prioritize audit focus based on the institution's risk appetite and regulatory requirements to ensure compliance. Option C. Request additional resources from senior management to augment the audit team and enhance audit coverage. Option D. Conduct a risk assessment to identify and prioritize audit areas based on the potential impact on the institution's operations and objectives. To answer this question effectively, let's dive into the mindset and method an IT auditor should adopt, drawing on concepts from the CISA Domain 1. Let us start with understanding the auditor's mindset needed for this scenario. Risk-based approach. The auditor should adopt a risk-based approach to audit planning, focusing on areas with the highest potential impact on the institution's operations and objectives. This aligns with the CISA concept of assessing risk and prioritizing audit resources accordingly. Regulatory compliance. Considering the regulatory requirements is crucial to ensure that the audit addresses compliance issues. CISA emphasizes the importance of understanding and complying with relevant laws, regulations, and standards. Resource optimization. Given the limited resources, the auditor should seek to optimize resource utilization while ensuring audit effectiveness. This involves prioritizing audit activities based on their importance and impact. Now, with this mindset, let us understand the methodology to answer this question. Understand the scenario. Begin by understanding the challenges outlined in the scenario, including limited resources, a complex IT environment, regulatory requirements, and conflicting priorities. Analyze the options. Evaluate each strategy provided in the answer choices based on their alignment with the risk-based approach, regulatory compliance, and resource optimization. Apply risk assessment. Conduct a risk assessment to identify and prioritize audit areas based on their potential impact on the institution's operations and objectives. This involves assessing the likelihood and impact of risks to determine where audit resources should be focused. Concepts to remember for this question would be: audit planning. Audit planning involves developing an overall audit strategy and plan that considers the organization's objectives, risks, and regulatory requirements. This concept is directly applicable to the scenario, as the auditor needs to plan the audit effectively given the challenges. Risk assessment. Risk assessment is a key component of audit planning, helping the auditor to identify and prioritize audit areas based on risk. This aligns with the recommended strategy of conducting a risk assessment in the given scenario. Compliance. Compliance with regulatory requirements is critical in audit planning. The auditor needs to ensure that the audit addresses compliance issues to avoid potential penalties or legal issues for the institution. Now, having understood the mindset, method, and relevant concepts, let us now go back to the question and try to find the correct answer. The correct answer for this question would be option D. Conduct a risk assessment to identify and prioritize audit areas based on the potential impact on the institution's operations and objectives. Let us now understand as why we chose this as correct answer. Risk assessment importance. Conducting a risk assessment aligns with CISA's emphasis on evaluating risks to prioritize audit activities. It helps in identifying areas with the highest potential impact on the institution's operations and objectives. Limited resources. With limited resources, the auditor must focus efforts on areas that pose the greatest risk to the institution. A risk assessment helps in prioritizing these areas, ensuring efficient resource utilization. Complex IT environment. The complexity of the IT environment makes it challenging to identify critical audit areas. A risk assessment allows the auditor to assess the complexity and impact of various IT systems and prioritize them accordingly. Regulatory requirements. Regulatory requirements add complexity to the audit planning process. By conducting a risk assessment, the auditor can ensure that audit activities are aligned with these requirements and prioritize areas that are critical for compliance. Conflicting priorities. Conflicting priorities among stakeholders regarding the audit focus and scope can be addressed by conducting a risk assessment. This helps in objectively identifying and prioritizing audit areas based on their impact on the institution's operations and objectives, minimizing conflicts. Optimal resource allocation. By conducting a risk assessment, the auditor can optimize resource allocation by focusing on areas that pose the highest risk to the institution. This ensures that limited resources are utilized effectively. In conclusion, Conducting a risk assessment is the most effective strategy for the IT auditor to address the challenges in the audit planning phase. It aligns with CISA principles by prioritizing audit activities based on risk and ensuring compliance with regulatory requirements, all while optimizing resource utilization. Are you able to understand the scenario and align with the explanation? Let us know your thoughts in comment section below. Before moving to the next question, we would appreciate your support to like and share this video and subscribe our channel. This will help us to reach out to other aspirants also. Let us now move on to our next question. You are a senior IT auditor tasked with reviewing the audit charter and assessing the alignment of audit activities with the organization's business processes. During your review, you encounter the following challenges. Outdated audit charter. The audit charter has not been updated in several years and does not reflect the current objectives and scope of the audit function. Complex business processes. The organization has complex and interconnected business processes that are not well documented, making it difficult to assess their impact on the audit activities. Lack of stakeholder engagement. There is limited engagement with key stakeholders, including senior management and the board, in defining the audit charter and aligning audit activities with business processes. Resource constraints. The audit team is understaffed and lacks the necessary skills and expertise to effectively assess the alignment of audit activities with business processes. Considering this scenario, which of the following actions should the senior IT auditor prioritize to address the challenges related to the audit charter and alignment with business processes? Option A. Update the audit charter to align with the organization's current objectives and scope, ensuring clear communication with key stakeholders. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive review of the organization's business processes to identify dependencies and assess their impact on audit activities. Option C. Engage with key stakeholders, including senior management and the board, to define the audit charter and ensure alignment with business processes. Option D. Develop a resource management plan to address the audit team's staffing needs and enhance skills and expertise. To effectively address the challenges related to the audit charter and alignment with business processes, the senior IT auditor should adopt a specific mindset and method, drawing on relevant concepts from the domain. Let us start with understanding the auditor's mindset needed for this scenario. Strategic alignment. The auditor should prioritize aligning audit activities with the organization's business processes to ensure that audit objectives support the overall strategic goals of the organization. Stakeholder engagement. Engaging with key stakeholders, including senior management and the board, is essential for defining the audit charter and ensuring that audit activities are aligned with business processes. Continuous improvement. Updating the audit charter to reflect the organization's current objectives and scope demonstrates a commitment to continuous improvement in the audit function. Now, with this mindset, let us understand the methodology to answer this question. Understand the scenario. Begin by understanding the challenges outlined in the scenario, including the outdated audit charter, complex business processes, lack of stakeholder engagement, and resource constraints. Analyze the options. Evaluate each action provided in the answer choices based on its ability to address the challenges related to the audit charter and alignment with business processes. Apply risk assessment. Prioritize actions that align with the organization's strategic objectives and address the root causes of the challenges identified. Concepts to remember for this question would be: Audit charter. The audit charter defines the purpose, authority, and responsibility of the audit function. Updating the audit charter ensures that it aligns with the organization's current objectives and scope. Business process. Understanding the organization's business processes is critical for aligning audit activities with business objectives. Conducting a comprehensive review of business processes helps identify dependencies and assess their impact on audit activities. Stakeholder engagement. Engaging with key stakeholders, including senior management and the board, is essential for defining the audit charter and ensuring alignment with business processes. Now, having understood the mindset, method, and relevant concepts, let us now go back to the question and try to find the correct answer. The correct answer for this question would be option A. Update the audit charter to align with the organization's current objectives and scope, ensuring clear communication with key stakeholders. Let us now understand why we chose this as correct answer. Outdated audit charter. The audit charter needs to be updated to reflect the current objectives and scope of the audit function. An outdated charter may not align with the organization's current goals and may lead to inefficiencies in audit planning and execution. Complex business processes. Updating the audit charter involves assessing the organization's business processes to ensure they are well documented and understood. This helps in aligning audit activities with business processes and identifying areas of impact. Lack of stakeholder engagement. Clear communication with key stakeholders is essential for defining the audit charter and ensuring alignment with business processes. Updating the charter provides an opportunity to engage stakeholders and gather their input. Resource constraints. While resource management is important, updating the audit charter takes precedence in this scenario as it directly addresses the challenges related to the audit charter and alignment with business processes. Developing a resource management plan can be a subsequent step once the charter is updated. In conclusion, updating the audit charter to align with the organization's current objectives and scope, while ensuring clear communication with key stakeholders, is the most appropriate action for the senior IT auditor to prioritize. This action addresses the challenges related to the audit charter and alignment with business processes, laying the foundation for effective audit planning and execution. Are you able to understand the scenario and align with the explanation? Let us know your thoughts in comment section below. Before moving to the next question, we would appreciate your support to like and share this video and subscribe our channel. This will help us to reach out to other aspirants also. Let us now move on to our next question. You are an IT auditor conducting a risk analysis for a large healthcare organization. The organization recently implemented a new electronic health records (EHR) system to improve patient care and streamline operations. However, during the initial stages of the audit, you discover the following challenges. Data breach incident. The organization experienced a data breach incident last year, which compromised sensitive patient information stored in the EHR system. Regulatory requirements. The healthcare organization must comply with stringent regulatory requirements, including HIPAA, to protect patient information. Vendor management. The organization relies on third-party vendors to support and maintain the EHR system, raising concerns about vendor management and data security. Limited security controls. The organization lacks robust security controls to protect against potential cyber threats and unauthorized access to patient information. Given the scenario, which of the following risk analysis approaches would be most appropriate for the IT auditor to identify and prioritize risks associated with the EHR system? Option A. Conduct a quantitative risk analysis using historical data to assess the potential financial impact of a data breach incident. Option B. Perform a qualitative risk analysis to identify and prioritize risks based on their likelihood and potential impact on patient care and operations. Option C. Implement a risk-based audit approach focusing on key risk areas such as data security, regulatory compliance, and vendor management. Option D. Develop a risk management plan to address identified risks, including implementing additional security controls and enhancing vendor management practices. To address the challenges in the risk analysis of the EHR system for the healthcare organization, the IT auditor should adopt a specific mindset and method, drawing on relevant concepts from the CISA Domain 1. Let us start with understanding the auditor's mindset needed for this scenario. Risk awareness. The auditor should be aware of the potential risks associated with the EHR system, including data breaches, regulatory compliance, vendor management, and security controls. Compliance focus. Given the regulatory requirements such as HIPAA, the auditor should prioritize compliance in the risk analysis process. Vendor risk management. Understanding the risks associated with third-party vendors supporting the EHR system is crucial for effective risk analysis and management. Now, with this mindset, let us understand the methodology to answer this question. Understand the scenario. Begin by understanding the challenges faced by the healthcare organization, including the data breach incident, regulatory requirements, vendor management, and limited security controls. Analyze the options. Evaluate each risk analysis approach provided in the answer choices based on its ability to address the identified challenges and prioritize risks associated with the EHR system. Apply risk analysis techniques. Choose an approach that aligns with best practices for risk analysis, considering the complexity and criticality of the EHR system. Concepts to remember for this question would be: risk analysis. The auditor should conduct a risk analysis to identify and prioritize risks associated with the EHR system. This involves assessing the likelihood and potential impact of risks on patient care and operations. Compliance. Compliance with regulatory requirements, such as HIPAA, should be a key focus of the risk analysis process to protect patient information and avoid regulatory penalties. Vendor management. Understanding the risks associated with third-party vendors supporting the EHR system is essential for effective risk analysis and management. Now, having understood the mindset, method, and relevant concepts, let us now go back to the question and try to find the correct answer. The correct answer for this question would be option B. Perform a qualitative risk analysis to identify and prioritize risks based on their likelihood and potential impact on patient care and operations. Let us now understand as why we chose this as correct answer. Qualitative risk analysis. A qualitative risk analysis is appropriate because it allows the auditor to assess risks based on their likelihood and potential impact without the need for precise numerical data. This approach is suitable for the complex and dynamic environment of a healthcare organization's EHR system. Data breach incident. A qualitative risk analysis can help identify the likelihood and potential impact of future data breach incidents, allowing the organization to prioritize security measures and mitigate risks effectively. Regulatory requirements. Compliance with regulatory requirements, such as HIPAA, can be assessed qualitatively by identifying risks that could lead to non-compliance and prioritizing them based on their impact on patient care and operations. Vendor management. Qualitative risk analysis can help identify risks associated with vendor management, such as the potential for third-party vendors to compromise data security, allowing the organization to implement appropriate controls. Limited security controls. A qualitative risk analysis can highlight the risks posed by limited security controls and prioritize actions to enhance security measures based on their potential impact on patient care and operations. In conclusion, performing a qualitative risk analysis is the most appropriate approach for the IT auditor to identify and prioritize risks associated with the EHR system. This approach allows for a comprehensive assessment of risks based on their likelihood and potential impact on patient care and operations, enabling the organization to effectively manage and mitigate these risks. Thank you for watching Part 1 of our CISA Domain 1 series. We hope you found the information valuable and that it helps you in your preparation for the CISA exam. Stay tuned for Part 2, where we'll continue to explore more challenging scenarios and concepts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content on information security and certification exam tips. See you in the next video.